Welcome to the Determined Mom Show, the only marketing podcast dedicated to guiding mom CEOs into tranquility, wealth, and multiplying those precious moments. Welcome to this episode of the Determined Mom Show. Today we have a very special guest, Megan Gillespie, and she is a realtor and she is the owner of Megan Gillespie Real Estate. And she's also the co-host of the Boss Ladies and Babies podcast. So welcome, Megan.
Hello. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you because this is such an important topic right now because everyone's lives this year got kind of like mushed together with work. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, that this is the topic. So we're going to be talking about relatable branding, the benefits of your real life becoming the centerpiece of your brand. So yeah, I'm very excited. But let me ask you a question before we get started. And that would be how you got started working from home.
Well, it kind of just happened as the natural progression of my career path. So I was a hairstylist for about 10 years. And so I was, running my own business throughout that and managing salons and, doing the booth rental thing out on my own. And I loved every part of that. But then it just kind of got to be a lot on my body. And I wanted to do something different. And that's when I decided to kind of take the jump into real estate, which is such a flexible career. And at that time, I fully thought that I would be, going into an office. But when I realized I didn't have to do that and I could just work from my car could be my office or my bed could be my office, the freedom of that just was so perfect. So I really, just stuck to mostly working from home, going into the office every once in a while. And then when my daughter, who's now 2, was born, it was like, oh, I'm already set up to be working at home. Perfect. I'm going to run with this.
That's perfect. That was perfect timing, A, because of your daughter, and then B, because, the pandemic. I mean, you were already set up when everybody else is kind of like scrambling to catch up. So,
yeah. Well, and after, being my own boss and everything, just even when I was going into a salon for all those years, I couldn't imagine the idea of like having to go into an office and like report to somebody and, not making my own schedule. So it just all worked out really perfectly.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's huge. Mm-hmm. And I know for me, that was another reason that I became my own boss as well, because it's like other people telling you what to do is not so fun. And when to do it. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't mind people telling me what to do, but the when to do it is definitely an issue. So I agree with you on that. All right. So let's talk about relatable branding. What does that mean? And what do we need to do to get there?
Yeah, well, I'll kind of jump into it with a little bit of backstory on how, I became so passionate about this. And so really relatable branding is the idea of branding yourself through your own life so that you can really balance your life and your business without having to feel, like at one point I'm this person, at another point I'm this person. And so my passion for this really started to grow when I was pregnant with my daughter. I just was so worried about how I was going to balance my life as a real estate agent and this, idea of a mother that I wanted to be. And when I first got into real estate, I just had this vision in my head of, the perfect real estate agent is wearing suits and buttoned up and so polished in everything they do and showing up on social media with only like very promotional and clean and perfect posts. And as much as I thought that I wanted to show up differently than that, that was just my idea of how it had to be. And so, I got pregnant with my daughter. I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? Like I'm not going to be able to be two different people in this vision of how I think it's supposed to be. So I really got to thinking about it. And I have been inspired by this amazing woman, Kelsey Curtis, who is the creator of the Connection Method. And she's a lifestyle branding photographer. And we met up when I was pregnant and I was her first kind of like guinea pig. And she tried out her lifestyle photography on me and really, really taught me a lot about you don't have to be this person that you think you do, you can absolutely be all of it and show up in your business as this one whole person with all the pieces of your life. And it really hit me. It just really was like this light bulb aha moment that I was, wow, why didn't I put that together before? This is amazing. And it inspired so much of what I'm doing now and what I've done up to this point. My best friend and I created the Boss Ladies and Babies podcast, which is really centered around this idea of balancing who you are as a mother with who you are as a businesswoman. And it just, yeah, once you kind of realize that you don't have to be two separate people in your work and your life, it gives you so much freedom.
That's awesome. And so from that, have you noticed that a lot more of your clients are kind of in that same stage of life that you are? Or like, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so when you make the switch and decide to put yourself out there and really be vulnerable and find relatability points with people through social media, through your branding, through podcasts that you do, just any way that you put yourself out there as your brand, you are going to relate with somebody and you are going to be that, go-to person that they feel like they can really trust. And the right people are going to kind of flock to you, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lot of my business is targeted towards moms, first-time moms, or just, young families who are coming together and taking that next step in their life when it, comes to real estate. It's really, there's so many pieces of my life, which I've decided to now show in my brand and show up to, that there's so many different people that I can relate to in different ways, which is the most amazing part of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It kind of broadens your horizons at the same time that it narrows the focus maybe, right?
Yeah. And I mean, you can still have, your niche, but it's the way that you're putting yourself out there is you're just being vulnerable and showing parts of your life that somebody is going to feel like, oh my gosh, I've gone through that same thing. I instantly trust this person so much more.
And I think that's amazing. And I also think, this is just my opinion, but in this year of, I would call it polarization, where everybody has either an opinion about politics and racism and all of those things, like being kind of separating people, I think, at least for me and my business, it's really helped me to kind of focus on making sure that I'm utilizing people that support the things that I care about too. And those people also reach out to me. So do you feel like that is part of your relatable branding process? I mean,
yeah, I absolutely think so. I remember like, oh my gosh, it must have been beauty school when, they were teaching you some of these foundations of how to conduct your business, right? And it was like, never talk about politics or religion or anything that's going to make somebody feel uncomfortable, which to an extent, I can understand that from a business perspective for sure. But when you make the decision to show up as who you are in your brand and everything you do, that means every interaction that you have with anyone is going back into what your brand is. You have to be true to who you are and what's important to you. Mm-hmm. I absolutely have not kept quiet, even in my real estate business, in the Boss Ladies and Babies platform, have not kept quiet about just our beliefs on politics, human rights, everything. Because if I were to keep quiet about that, then I wouldn't be being true to who I am. Mm-hmm. And, I want to work with people who maybe they have a different opinion than me, but they at least know where I stand. And, we can find maybe some kind of mutual respect there.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. I love that. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So there is a program that you have kind of laid out through the Boss Ladies and Babies brand. So tell us about that and how that can help us to kind of lay that foundation and get to where we want to be with our brand.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just launched, I'm so excited about this program, and it's called the Brand You Strategy. And it's something that I have been thinking about for a really long time, but I didn't know exactly what it was going to be until honestly the last few months. Boss Ladies and Babies has been just such a wonderful place for women to come together and, relate to each other. And that's what I've been wanting to do. Once I discovered this idea of building your brand in this way, just wanting to relate to other women and make them feel like they're not alone. And so, I was marinating on this. I just had this calling in my soul for so long, just trying to figure out, what is this? What can I do that's more? And I finally had another aha moment where I realized, I can teach other women to do what I'm doing, because it's so much more than just a pretty logo and, building beautiful colors and making a brand to be recognizable. That's all part of it too. But putting yourself and your motherhood journey out there in a way that is still professional and that can make you earn trust and respect and relate to people that could eventually be your clients. Like, how can I do that? And so I finally figured it out and created this program. And so my mission through all of this has always been to keep it real, right? That's my real estate tagline. It's everything. I just want people, when they experience any interaction with me, to feel like it was really authentic and real. And so through the Brand You strategy, it's really teaching women how to incorporate their motherhood journey as part of their business brand identity, which probably sounds really foreign to a lot of people. But also, like you were saying, with 2020, so many of us are in a position now where we're home, our children are home, and we kind of don't have a choice but to let them show, and so being comfortable with that and giving yourself kind of the permission to accept that is how you're going to show up, and just realizing that, being vulnerable and raw is not unprofessional, is kind of what I teach through this program. I can break it down more if you want, or.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about, like, maybe if you have like different phases or different. Yeah, I would love to hear it.
Okay, perfect. So the way that it's going right now, it's still in the beta test process here for the group program. But the way that it's going is it's a 6-week program where there are 4 women that will come into the program as a group and go through it. And I send you each week the content and some homework, and then we meet as a group once a week over Zoom and just kind of throw ideas around what we've come up with. We go through that for 6 weeks. And at the end, we have a one-on-one meeting where we really come up with your strategy on how you are going to do this. But when we're meeting, we're not just talking about like, what's your logo, what's your graphics going to, we're talking about so much more. We're doing just some deep reflective work, which a lot of people, I don't think, really put that together when they're thinking about brand. Like, why would I have to reflect on who I am? When you want your brand to be part of you, you kind of have to do that. So the first piece of the program is a balance program where we talk about time management, establishing your priorities, and some of your boundaries that you have to set with your, family, with your children, with your partner. Self-management, reflective work. We talk about goals and just kind of strategy for managing that balance that we're looking for in this type of branding. And then we have a large piece on branding education and support, where we define how you want to be perceived, who you are, who you serve, what your message is, how you can organize your business based off of that message, and then just kind of determine how you communicate your message in everything that you do. So it's really creating a very clear mission and foundation for your brand and teaching you how to guide your brand in this way that centers you in the middle of it. And then we do some research on your target audience, so you have a really clear idea of who your target audience is, and then a full branding audit on all of your materials to make sure that you are consistent. So of course, that logo and all of the graphics are important, but they're just not at the top of the list. And then the third piece to the program is a little bit of social media support, where we just kind of look back at, okay, this is my foundation. This is how I want to show up. This is my audience. How can I do that? And we just kind of go over different ways that you can really show up in an authentic way on social media.
That's awesome. I think you ladies do a great job on your social media. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, we try to be just really real,
Mm-hmm.
There's a fine line between being like messy and where people are just like, oh, that page looks like a mess, And that's not what we want to do. But we also really are aware of the fact that we're two busy moms and, we're doing this so that we can relate to and show up and support other women. And so our page isn't the most aesthetically pleasing all the time, but it's real life. And it's that balance, there's beautiful pictures and there's messy pictures. And, it's all about that balance.
And honestly, that's part of exactly what we're talking about. So it works.
Yep, exactly.
Yep, exactly. Awesome. So what type of business could benefit from your program? Like, is it like a coach or is it like, I don't know, real estate agent or, who is it?
I would say literally anybody, even if you're not a mom, it's really heavily focused on that balance of motherhood and your career, but it could be, we could replace motherhood just with anything in your life that takes up a large portion of your passion and your soul, right? So it could be any part of your life. And so I think that this is the way that branding is really going. And I think if people don't start opening up and being a little bit more vulnerable, then they're going to get left behind because this really is the way that things are going. And so anyone could benefit from this. The group program is really great. I do also offer one-on-one, just kind of strategy sessions for each piece of the program, as well as, running the whole program together. And it's still just so fluid. We can really just focus on what's holding you back and what your pain points are as we go along and kind of building this brand around you, because it is so unique. Each time that I run the program, it's going to be so different. So literally anyone.
That's awesome. And I think there is a huge benefit, just in my experience, to having a group program, because not only can you learn from you, the coach or teacher, but you learn so much from all of the other people in the program. It's, I always think that's mind blowing. Any mastermind that I've ever been in or group coaching experience, I've just learned so much. And it's always a plus when they're from different industries or different backgrounds, because they have so much more knowledge of different parts of things that you don't. And you can just suck that in like a sponge. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like, again, that big piece of relatability and just feeling not alone. I mean, I'm a stranger and I'm asking you these questions that are really going to make you dig deep into your soul and, think about, what does being a mother and a businesswoman mean to me? Like, is it holding me back? What's holding me back? These questions that are just, we don't normally ask ourselves. Yeah. And so to be able to come together with a group of other women that have all done the same reflective work, it helps you feel a lot safer, I guess. And you can connect with not only me, but these other women who can hopefully teach you and then grow with you, and you can bounce ideas off each other moving forward. It really is. It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's huge. And I can't say enough about that type of experience. So if you've not done that before, I highly recommend it. And I also highly recommend checking out Megan's program to kind of get you into that mode of revamping your brand or starting your brand.
Yeah, exactly. So if you already have a brand and you need to kind of rethink it, or if you're just starting out, it's really helpful to kind of change your branding mindset and really show up in a different way.
Yeah. What have you seen as the biggest block for people? Like when they're going through that deep dive into their psyche and into their past and into their future, is there a recurring block that is common for everyone, or?
Yeah, it's a lot of, I know what I should be doing, but I don't do it basically, or, I don't really know how. And, people are answering these questions like, wow, I've never really thought about things that way. And I knew I should be doing this. And so I think that's probably the biggest block.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And to break through that, I think, again, it's just kind of a mindset change and really figuring out how to find that balance, which is my goal. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what do you have coming up? Is there anything you have coming up for the Boss Ladies and Babies podcast or anything like that other than the program?
So our podcast is weekly. We do 2 episodes a week, and we do our business blab, which is a mini episode that gives business tips to women out there, because our audience is really split. Not everybody is a businesswoman. And so it's fun to kind of have that spot that's just for businesses and, tips that we've taken from our own experience and put that in there. And there'll be some little nuggets of the brand you information coming into that space as well. And then we have our full length episodes where we interview other moms and businesswomen and just kind of really go there and go deep and have fun and hard, heavy topics. And so, just moving forward with that, depending on what happens with this pandemic, we really have goals to do like some live meetups next year, but
that's awesome.
We don't know what's going to happen, obviously.
And I saw that you're a new mob member, which is amazing.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's such a great community. And if you're not familiar with that, it's a mom-owned business. And it is a group of moms that own businesses. And they are just an amazing community. It really
the support is just, phenomenal.
Yep. If you have a question, it'll be answered in like 2 seconds. And if you need a resource for something, it's just amazing. So,
And
the power of moms coming together and
yes, exactly. I'm all about that.
It's kind of crazy. It's like its own ecosystem, or, like its own economy, I should say, because everybody goes there first. Then they're like, okay, well, who does branding, for example, or who does, this, or who does that? And it's huge. So,
and just being, having that group of support and women who have similar mindsets to you is just like game changing for sure.
Exactly. I love it. Awesome. So I have a couple last questions. Where is the best place for everyone to find you online?
So you can find everything, links to our social media, our podcast, a link to the brand use strategy information at bossladiesandbabies.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook under that same name. So really easy to find us. Our podcast is available basically anywhere you get your podcasts. And you can find all that on our website.
Awesome. And if you are in the greater, I guess I would say, Olympia area. Like Thurston, Pierce County, do you do into there?
Yeah, I do Thurston and Pierce County and surrounding areas. And then I lived in Bellingham for like 7 years before I moved here. So I have some great referral connections up in Whatcom County as well for real estate.
Yeah. Awesome. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home in Olympia, Washington, or basically the whole Puget Sound area, then contact Megan for that as well.
Yeah, and you can find my real estate website at bossladiesandbabies.com too. There's a link for that on there too. So it's kind of like the hub for everything that you might need.
Yeah, it's easy to send people to one link and then everything you need is there.
Yeah, yep.
Awesome. So one last question for you is, what is your favorite thing about being able to work from home? I know we touched on a lot of it earlier, but what is like that one thing that like you would never have been able to do if you were working?
Let's see. I just think it's the freedom. Of course, I'm sure that's, I was trying to think of a really creative answer, but it's just got to be the freedom to expand and to, serve people in ways that I want to. Being a real estate agent is something that I love so much. And I also love hosting a podcast and, rolling out these other programs that make me just so happy to serve people in different ways. And I couldn't be doing all of that if I wasn't at home, because I choose when and how I work, and just gives me so much freedom and flexibility to do the things I'm most passionate about.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's literally one of the most common answers, but it's not like the only answer that we've ever gotten. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different things. Everybody's life is so different and so dynamic that there are a lot of different answers that we've heard. So I love it.
Yeah, I just feel like, what isn't the best about working from home?
Exactly.
It's all so
right
good.
Now, for us, for the moms that have school-age kids, it's definitely the school thing. But that's like the worst part. But not getting away. I guess if you look at the other side, there are some, I get jealous of my husband who gets to leave for work every day and see people sometimes, but I guess we can't have it all. Well, you
Yeah,
can see people on Zoom like we are right now.
that's true.
Yeah. I love seeing people on Zoom. So that's like the extent of my social interaction, and it's
Mhm.
just enough for me.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Megan, for being here and sharing your expertise with us, sharing about your podcast, sharing about your new program. And I just definitely appreciate you as a person and as a mom and as a business owner.
Thank you. Same to you for sure. I'm really happy that we got to chat about this, and I always love talking with you. So thank you so much.
Me too. Thank you.
This episode of the Determined Mom Show is brought to you by the free Facebook group, Mastering Google My Business to Increase Your Revenue. Inside of this group, you'll get insights into new features of Google My Business, and you'll learn how to master your Google My Business listing in order to increase your revenue. This is free to join, and you can find it on Facebook by searching Mastering Google My Business to Increase Your Revenue inside of the Facebook groups.